Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of The Geek Perspective. And on today's show, we're discussing the 1983 movie Christine. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Stay tuned with me and Tom. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of The Geek Perspective / soon to be happening the Terra TV Twins movie channel. I'm your host Roy, and along with my co-host Tom, we're discussing the movie Christine. What's going on, Tom?
Nothing. No stuff.
I need to make a new countdown timer, something cooler. I think like boring. I mean, it takes so long. It's like, geez, 30 seconds. That was a free time you get with StreamYard.
I've seen people do like 60 seconds and 90-second time. It's like, Jesus.
I think that's something I would do if like we were doing like maybe I would do it like a 5-minute thing. They do that because so people can get into the rooms.
Yeah.
Because once the show starts, that's when people get the message.
Yeah.
So it gives them time to get people there, I guess. But 30 seconds, man, it takes forever.
Yeah, that's a long time. So, yeah, I'm excited for the episode. So, how are you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm good. I have some interesting takes on this movie. But we'll get into it when we do the review. I was looking forward to this. I saw it when I was younger. And it wasn't a movie I watched over and over again. But like I said, I have some interesting takes now that
I was glad when you were like, "Yeah, we should do Christine." When you said we should do it, I was like, "Yeah, it's a classic that I haven't watched in a long time."
Yep.
But it's a classic. It's great. It's good because it's not one I think of all the time either. You know, when you think in classic horror, but it's really good. Stephen King, at when he was still at his kind of peak, before he went into those dark periods, and then we got into the Richard Bachman days and stuff. So it's it's good. So you want to get into it?
Let's get into it. Let's do this.
All right. So just a little bit about the movie, and then I'll give after that I'll give like a 2-sentence synopsis, and then we'll just jump in. But a little bit about it was Christine. Like I said, it's based on the book by Stephen King, Christine. It opened on the weekend of December 9th in 1983. It was directed by John Carpenter. 110 minutes long. Produced by Columbia Pictures, and producers on it were Richard Kobritz and Larry J. Franco. Starred Keith Gordon, John Stockwell, Alexandra Paul, Robert Prosky, Harry Dean Stanton, who was probably the most well-known of the cast at the time. And then what you just told me before we started recording, Kelly Preston's in it. John Travolta's wife. No, she passed. Yep. She passed away, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, very, very small role. Just the character's name's Roseanne in it, and she's just kind of, the pretty girl in the place. But I thought that was pretty cool because I did not know that until 10 minutes ago. So that's pretty cool. It grossed $21 million at the box office, which is pretty impressive. Consider it. You think it's 1983. $21 million is a lot more than it is today. Open to mostly positive reviews. Mostly positive reviews. Actually, was number 4 at the box office its opening weekend, and Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars. So pretty good for a horror movie, and Roger Ebert, who's notoriously tough movie critic. So yeah, and that's just some background info for you guys if you are interested. So a brief synopsis of the plot is that a nerdy, sort of awkward teen's life takes a dangerous turn when he buys this older car. It's a Plymouth Fury, and he buys it and he restores it, and in doing so, he jumpstarts the car's supernatural powers. So, just basic, and synopsis of what happens. So, yeah, let's talk about it, Roy. Christine.
Yeah, this was an interesting movie. I remember seeing it when I was a kid, and I wasn't a huge. I liked it, but I wasn't a huge fan of it back then. I wasn't a car person. I've never been a car guy. Never been one of those people. I'm a big fan of John Carpenter, big fan of Stephen King, which is why I watched it. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have watched it. I've seen it like two or three times when I was younger, and so much time had passed. I think it was time to watch it again. I'm like, why not do a review on it?
Yeah. It's when you think about that too, that's like a 1-2 punch. Stephen King, John Carpenter. Now granted, Stephen King wrote the book. It was adapted. Other people did, and those when it's adapted for screenplays. Now, Stephen King might have been in on the process. A lot of times they are, sometimes they're not, but they get other writers to adapt it for the screen because, obviously you've read a book and you watch a movie, and you have to do certain things to make that happen. You can't, it's very rare that you can get, spend some close. Fight Club was pretty damn close, but there was some differences. But yeah, it's, so yeah, quite a duo. Like in 1983, that's like I said, they're both at the height of their powers right there, John Carpenter and Stephen King. So that's pretty cool. Again, like you, I remember watching it as a kid, and then I probably the way I probably watched it again in my teens, and then I think I watch it about once every 10 years or something like that, somehow or another. I might see it on TV and then go, see a clip or something and then go watch it or something like that. So, but never, it was never my favorite. I always appreciated how good it was, but it's not one that you need to watch a bunch of times, really.
No.
It's not that type of film, and like I said in that brief synopsis, Arnie, the main character played by Keith Gordon, he's nerdy guy, gets bullied at school, which the really funny bully scene with the switchblade and stuff that cracked me up.
That teacher was a badass, wasn't he?
Yeah. You could tell it was set in the 70s and 80s, you know what I mean? Because teachers we can't. When I was, if I talked to a student like that, I would have been put in handcuffs.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
It's that whole super cringe. The bully there, he just loves the word cunt. And he just everything. Oh, that cunt face, and there he is. That he just uses it over and over again. But he's just in typical '80s bully fashion. He's got a switchblade, bullies. He bullies Arnie, and Arnie's friend, kind of braces up, whatever, and bringing him home. Sees the titular car, Christine, all just on the side, at this old farmhouse. It's in rough shape, and there's shrubbery on it and growth on it. It's beat up, but Arnie falls in love immediately, and his friend's trying to talk him out of it. He buys it and restores it and unlocks this car's supernatural powers. So, it almost saying it to you.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds bad. It doesn't sound like something I would be like, oh, that's a classic film. A car comes alive. it sounds pretty campy when I say it out loud.
It does.
But it's done really well, and he's in love with the car. And the car loves him back, but the car's very protective. So
Very protective.
And that, it leads to everything. So they in the beginning they establish, this car, it's on the line that and it's hurting people right away. This car, the guy's hand gets caught in there, the other guy sits in it, and
he's found the next day.
He's dead. He opens the car up, and the guy's dead inside the car with a cigar. Do they ever establish what the entity is?
No, I don't think so. No. The brother of the guy who sold what's his name, Arnie.
Yes.
The car.
They establish his backstory. Yeah, where we find out that he killed himself in the car.
Right.
In the car, he did put a hose muffler into it to killed himself with carbon monoxide. But then we also find out the car killed his daughter somehow. There was an accident with his daughter.
She choked on something, I believe.
Was that what it was? There was an accident with the daughter.
She choked on something.
And he wouldn't get rid of the car even then. That gets established. He still loved it. He would still just drive around blasting the music in the car around town. Then his wife killed herself in the car again as well.
Yep.
And the brother tried to do something at that point, but he still wouldn't do any. He still was in love with the car. But they never establish how the car is killing. And I think that's kind of cool, personally, that they didn't establish it. That we don't know what the origin of Christine is. What do you think?
Was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What was that?
That they never really established the origin of Christine.
No, they didn't. It just went into, like you said, with the guy getting his hand on the door, the guy found dead, and then the brother explaining, "Oh, so many people died in the car," and they just.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you what's your thoughts on that? I like that. That's what I said.
Oh, what are your thoughts on it?
Yes.
I wish they explained a little bit more.
Okay.
What the origin was, or even I never saw part 2.
I never did.
I think
I didn't even know there was.
I thought there was a part 2. I could be wrong. I thought there was a part 2. If there wasn't, because if there was a part 2 to explain the origin of like why people that are dying that don't love the car possessing the car, like why wouldn't they just go somewhere else? And if they're trapped there, why are they trapped in the car?
See, I was saying that I kind of like the mystery, but I can also see the other side wanting the explanation. So there was a Christine 2, just real quick. There was a Christine, but it was a direct to video and released in 2002. So
now, did you know where the name Christine came from?
No.
I heard, if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was Stephen King. I want to say Stephen King named him after, I want to say George Romero's ex-wife.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
If I remember correctly.
Cool and kind of dirty.
I want to say that it has something to do with George A. Romero's ex-wife.
That's good.
They named him after her. It might have been an ex back then, maybe. I don't know. I want to say that's where that came from, and I always found that interesting.
Yeah, that is cool.
because they
Not
were
not
all,
not completely surprising either. A lot of these big guys, pay homage to each other with little using each other's names or children's names, especially as somebody as like prolific as Stephen King, and then George Romero just being the icon and the trailblazer that he was, and how he influenced horror. Like, just, I mean, everybody in this day and age talks about how influential George Romero was just to the genre in general. Never mind all the classic films that he produced, which I'm sure we'll be reviewing at some point. Some of his, there's some of my
I'm a big Romero fan.
There's some of my all-time favorite. Night of the Living. I mean, he basically invented the. I mean, yeah, there was zombies before it, but he basically invented the genre, and everybody since has just been paying homage to him.
And it's funny because there are zombie movies 50, 60 years before his first movie, but basically they didn't exist until A.J. Romero did it.
Yeah.
I call him A.J. Romero. I don't know why I do. I can't always do that. I always call him A.J. Romero.
George A. Romero?
George A. Romero. Yeah, I don't like calling him A.J. I've always done that. I don't know why.
That's funny.
He basically invented. But one thing I'll say about this movie also.
Yes, please.
Is doing this classic film. And as a kid, I liked the movie, but I didn't love the movie. It didn't make me want to see it again. Watching it this time, I will tell you, it's almost like this channel is going to become the Roy Classic Horror Movie Appreciation Channel, because I really appreciated the movie more the second time around watching it now than I did watching it 40, 50 years ago.
Which makes sense, too. You're older, smarter, wiser.
Today the car is awesome. Back then it was kind of but now I can appreciate that car for sure.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that, because I've never been it's funny, I work for a large automaker, but I've never been a car guy. Like, I'm still to this day, I'm not a car guy. Yeah, I just don't really interest me that much. They're like, I just like them to be reliable, where I can get from point A to point B. That's all I need a car for. I don't like, it's nice to drive a nice car and everything, but I'm not a car guy. But yeah, now I definitely appreciated it way more. As adult, again, makes sense. Wiser, more mature. Can appreciate it. Watched a lifetime of horror now, so it's like can kind of compare and to other films, and it is definitely, people call it a cult classic. I would just call it a classic, because it's just that it's a classic film. And with that, in classic films, it's just like, I love watching some of these older films, and just like I talked about it in our Leatherface thing, how like the acting styles have changed, and just like these cringy scenes and stuff. Like, I was talking about the bully scene, and it's so cringy, and it's over the top acting, because it's still, we're in the early 80s, and it's still more presentational style, because you got to think, it's not. We've come a long way with our acting and learning how to act with cameras, because you got to think, TVs weren't. People have been acting for centuries, but TVs have only been around for decades. So you had to learn how to act for those things. So it's like some super cringy scenes and some super cringy cinematography when they get up close on people's faces, and it's like,
that's what you appreciate now too, because like now it's all special effects, CGI. It's you lose some of that creativity that you'd have for you have to manually put a camera in a certain spot to create a certain depth of scene, or create a feeling visually, whereas nowadays little special effects take care of that for you.
Yeah, 100%. And on top, like, going hand in hand with that, like, just like the cringy scenes and stuff that you don't see as much now, because modern, and we come a long way, is just the difference in how society was, and like how he's aggressive with the girl, to the point where it's like he's not beating her, but he's definitely more aggressive than you any of us would ever think to be with our significant other. Like, like grabbing her by the arm hard. At one point grabs by the hair, which is completely wrong. But and just those little things that it's like, wow, society was a lot different in the 80s and stuff, because it's what
Speaking of
went
that
down.
character, though, speaking of that character, one other thing I love about this movie, it was crazy and awesome how Arnie, his character, just slowly graduated build. He builds the whole movie. And you can actually see it and feel it through the whole film as he's just building and building and building until they accumulated with the ending.
Yeah, because like I said, when I was saying, hey, he's super nerdy and awkward at the beginning. He's just, and like our first scene of him, he comes running. It's his buddies there picking him up in this nice old car, and he comes running out of the house with a trash bag that just disintegrates as he's running with it, and trash goes all over the driveway.
Go, just go.
Yeah, his mother tells him to just go, and then there's this big puddle in the driveway. I don't know if they were washing their car earlier or something. This big puddle, and instead of going around it, he runs through it, back and forth through it like 4 times. And the only thing I can think of is that John Carpenter, like, they did it a bunch of times, and John Carpenter said, okay, this time run through the water, and like thought it was hilarious, because he goes through it like just insane amount of times. He's running back and forth in this puddle. Like, I was like, no person, no matter how awkward and nerdy, would do that. But I'm sure it was, like I said, I think it was probably funny, and he's like, let's throw it in. Mm-hmm. And then, but yeah, then as you were alluding to, it's his character how it progresses through the movie, and then finds the car and it starts fixing it up. And now he's starting to get a little more. He gets the car. He's mouthing off to the parents now, and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, the car's getting nicer, and now he's got the hot girl for the hot, super smart, super hot girlfriend. Nobody can figure it out, And then it's like, but then he starts. Because Christine's evil, and and then he starts to become evil, and so.
How about the scene with his father? That was a big scene. The scene with his father, and he's like as he's building, and like you were saying, he starts becoming one with the car and getting more of an attitude and more aggressive, and he starts cussing at his mother a lot, and then his father just snaps one night. He's like, I'm done. I've had it with you. And you get his by the throat.
Yep.
He kind of chuckles at him and just walks away. I'm going to bed. I'm like, holy Jesus.
Yeah. It is a very good character progression throughout the throughout the film. And
Stephen King trademark.
So, we get to the point where now we're actually seeing Christine and kill people and stuff like that. As far as the kills go, did you have a favorite out of the few that are in there?
It's funny. This movie doesn't have a lot of kills.
No, it doesn't need to either.
Right. But the most fun, coolest one was the gas station. And when Christine crashes into the gas station, the guy's over and the car explodes, and he chases another guy with the flames. That was
the car's on fire, and
my favorite one was when the car goes back after that, pulls into the back in the garage. The guy's the owner's watching the car pull in. He's like, the car's steaming from being on fire. It's got soot all over it. Backs into the spot and just sits there. He's like, guy goes over, opens the door after burning himself. There's nobody in the car. Nobody in the car. Then he gets in the car a little bit later. And the guy basically does him in.
Yeah,
I think that was one of my favorite scenes. I think I'm like, wow, pretty direct, straightforward.
I think that was it's between that kill and the chubby bully that gets chased around by the car, and then he's in that little area there that the car can't fit.
The truck dock.
Yeah, at the dock. Yes, thank you. And where it can't fit, but the car just continues.
Scrape at the sides of the car, just like, get you're done.
Those, it's like, I don't know which one I like better, but those are it's like 1A and 1B for me on those two kills. Because like you said, there's not a ton of them. not a ton of kills, but there doesn't need to be because it injured, the friend. We know the backstory that it killed the whole family, a little girl and and two
The
people, and
progression of Arnie, just him getting more and more evil through the film is like
yeah.
great to watch it itself.
Yeah, Arnie. It's like Arnie becomes Christine, and it's
Yeah.
like so. Yeah, it's very well done. It's like I can't say enough good things about it for the people out there. It's like you definitely need to like check out this film. Like I said, there's a few cringy parts, but that's going to happen it's a 1983 film. But if you're a fan of horror, you're going to like this. I think. I mean, and we've had other car movies, and isn't like It Follows about a killer car or something like that. I think in more recent times there's
I remember.
I think
I haven't seen
let
that in
me
a
check.
few years.
I don't think I ever saw It Follows, but there's been
It's a
other
decent movie.
killer car movies, but
Now,
none.
if you were in a Christine situation, how would you have destroyed the car?
So, um,
Because you saw what happened every time I tried to destroy the car, it just came right back.
yeah. So, I don't know that I would have done what he did with the big fucking backhoe, and I
Mm,
mean, but that is a way. You got to destroy this car to the point where it can't be put like I see. For me, it's like you got to do the damage where it can't fix itself right away or anything. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
I wonder what would have happened if they left the machine, the backhoe, on top of the car. Would the car have been able to rebuild itself?
If they just left it just
Yeah,
right
I
on.
wonder the weight of the car. I don't know. 'Cause the
See,
car's demonic, obviously.
my,
I don't know.
you got to get that. So you got to get that car
Well, no,
apart. Some
I'd melt it to liquid and just kind
yes,
of.
something.
I don't know
But
what I'd
even
do
then,
with
it's
it.
like,
I'd
but you
melt
want
the
to get
liquid
like
and
parts away
you know,
from each other too. It's like I would, get that part apart somehow. Maybe do use a backup and then turn it into like a fucking cube at a at like a
throw it in
junkyard.
space.
And what's that?
Launch it into space.
Yeah, there you go. And just like I would take parts and scatter them and shit, and like, because it's like it's tough. Because yeah, it's like I'm thinking about it, and you got to get that thing because it can fix itself. It's established that it can fix itself pretty easily too. So you got to do a good. I mean, granted, we saw that the fire did damage it for a little while, so you can do some, but you got to start.
He needs multiple. I love the ending where they finally destroy the car. They put it in the car bag. It comes out in a big square like the machines do. And it's sitting there. All of a sudden, you hear the music. You're like, uh-oh. The guy
Yep.
comes by a boo box from the thing. It's like, his expression is the coolest expression ever. They're looking at him like, what the fuck? He's like, what are you looking at? He gets walking. Like, fuck you. That was the coolest ending.
Yeah,
Again.
it was good, and that's a good point too. That how they used the music to enhance it. It was really good, and just
Yeah,
like
like the scene where the bullies smashing the car.
yeah,
And they go, you can come and knock it, but you can't come in, or something like that. So
yep,
like that's the coolest thing ever. That is so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's a good little touch that they did that like if the music was playing, you knew something weird was gonna happen,
The guy
something was
was
gonna go
saying
down.
something too. The guy was actually saying something to you.
Yes.
So listen to the
Go through the
car.
music selection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's I'm
Old
glad you brought that
classic.
up because it's a good little thing that really enhances the movie.
If you
And
like old cars, 50s music, you'll love this movie.
yeah,
Fun
you,
movie. Because the
it's
car
like
gets
if you
destroyed, you'll be all cringe like, no, not the car. And the car rebuilds itself. Wish my car would rebuild itself. That'd be great.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, if you're a fan of all that, if you're a fan of Stephen King and John Carpenter, I mean, you're gonna like this. So
Kelly
definitely,
Preston's in it. See if you can find Kelly Preston. I was shocked by that.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm still
So
shocked.
yeah, I like I said, I
Doesn't even look like
now
me.
a half hour ago I found out, like, I'm today years old when I learned that. So it's yeah, that's a little cool little nugget in there. So out of 5 cars, I guess, how many are you giving this?
Well,
Like,
it's an excellent story. You didn't need the kills to make it a good story because the progression of the main character, the nerdy character, was amazing. For an 80s horror movie, I thought the movie was acted pretty well considering it's an 80s horror movie. That actually impressed me in this film. I don't expect 80 horror movies to be very well acted. I
yeah,
don't expect that at all in 80s horror. Um, so for all that and the cool car, the cool music that actually coincided with the car talking to you, that the guy didn't talk, but it talked through the music. If you listen to the songs, it was saying something to the people that were hurt in the car or whatever. I gave it a 3.5 Plymouth Furies.
wow.
3.5. Lot
I
higher than last week's
Yes.
movie, that's for sure.
Yeah. Again, I thought, I used to be way more critical than you on movies, but I'm giving this a 4.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Holy jeepers.
I really appreciated it this time around, like more so than ever. Now it's not like and people are gonna probably roast me online because my scale's all over the place recently. It's like I used to be just super critical of movies, and I tried to
He's
say,
the actor guy. He's the actor guy.
and I tried to stay consistent with my scale, but it's like, okay, yes, we're talking horror movies, but there's different sort of subgenres within horror. So it's like, and then
Maybe after about
I,
30 episodes, it'll make more sense.
yeah, and like I know it's me, it's all over the place, because like I said, they're different genres, and like now that I'm older, it's like if I can, like last week with Scream, I gave it a 3.25. 3.25, whatever, Scream, Ghost Face, or whatever we said, or just stars maybe. And a lot of that was just how much I enjoyed it. Just like found it easy to watch, enjoyable. Not that there was a lot of problems with it that we talked about. Like it was a pretty long episode and
Check
everything.
that episode. It's a really good episode.
Yeah, it is. Check it out, guys. Last week's episode. It's but it's long because we both had a lot to say about it. It's so that's part of the reason my scale is long. But I just really enjoyed this watching it back. It was like it was the most I enjoy. I remember this movie fondly, but not this fondly. So I think you guys should check it out for sure. 4 from me, 3.5 from Roy.
That's amazing. 4.
Yeah, that's pretty high. That's pretty high for me because I don't go much higher than like 4.5, 4.75. Nothing really gets a 5. It's you got to be like a perfect movie to get a 5, in my opinion. But I think this holds up very well.
I agree. This is a movie where I think if it came out today, just as it is now, it means the same thing. Like to this day, we have bullies. To this day, paranormal. Paranormal's huge now. This might even be a bigger movie today than it was back then. You have, the good versus evil, which still exists in movies today. Like it's one of those movies that's not dated.
Yeah,
I think it fits into any time period, which is amazing.
I agree.
You could literally take a newer car, replace Christine, well, keep the name Christine, but just put a Mustang, an 85 Mustang,
Yeah,
2022 Mustang.
yeah,
It's the same movie. You still got bullies. You still got, high school drama. Like
yeah.
it's like it's Stephen King. Stephen King, he's an amazing writer.
Like I said, this is when he's still at the height of his powers. That's yeah, guys, check it out.
Yeah. So I think that's it for me. I got nothing else to say for this movie except go watch it. If you haven't watched it, it's worth watching. Check it out. Actually, if you do want to watch it, it's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you can go watch it anytime you want. Go watch it right now. And if you do watch it, let us know in the comments below. Or if you have seen it, let us know in the comments below. Let us know what you think. And make sure you tune in soon. Our channel for the Terror TV Twins is going live very soon. So we're going to have content on there. We'll be doing a bracket system for our favorite horror killers. So stay tuned for that. So, yeah. So I think for Tom's number 4 rating, we'll end on that little note. So for Tom and myself, you guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tune in to our next episode for a lot more fun. So take care, guys. Good night. Enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, guys.